Hi, my name's John. I'm a Canadian senior traveler, and last spring I finally took a long overdue solo trip to Portugal. 10 days split between Lisbon and the Algarve. Beautiful cities, incredible landscapes, and some lessons learned along the way. If you're planning to do a trip to Lisbon, here are some do's and don'ts to help you make the most of it. First of all, do visit Portugal. It's well worth it. Lisbon's a safe, friendly city that's easy to navigate. I had an incredible time, and I already know that I'll be back. When you arrive, do take a walking tour. I took the Chill Out free walking tour that was led by locals, and it was a fantastic introduction to the city, including some off the beaten path spots. The tour is technically free, but you're expected to tip the guide. That's how they make their living. And it is well worth it. A great introduction to the city. And you'll probably find some places you want to go back and visit a little bit longer. Do figure out the public transport. Lisbon's metro, trams, and trains are really easy to use if you get the right card. There are two main options for cards that you can purchase. The first one is called the Navigante card. It costs €0.50 initially, and then you load it up with single trips or a set amount. You tap in and out at the metro stations, but you only need to tap in when you get on a bus or a tram. This is a great choice if you'll be exploring at your own pace. The second one is called the Lisboa card, and they're available for 24, 48, or 72 hours. It includes unlimited transport and free entry to many attractions. When I was there, I bought this 72-hour pass, but I really don't think I got my money's worth since I walked most places. I'd recommend that you just get the 24-hour pass and that you use it on the day that you go to visit Belém because you can get entry to a lot of the museums there with the card, and you can also get transport there and back. And remember this, the Lisboa card works for 24 hours from the first use, and not just from midnight to midnight on the calendar. So plan accordingly. You could use it for an entire afternoon and evening, and then again for the next morning to look at other museums and other locations. Do ask for seniors discounts. If you're over 65, most museums offer a discount. This is another reason that the 72-hour Lisboa card may not be the best value for seniors because you can get reduced prices just by being over 65. Do visit popular sites early. Tourist spots get really crowded fast. I visited the São Jorge Castle around 10:15 in the morning, and I walked right in. And when I left 90 minutes later, there was a massive lineup. The same goes for Sintra. If you're going, arrive early and head to your must-see attraction first. Do visit Belém, but don't stand in line for the tarts. Belém is famous for its pastiche de Belém, and for good reason. They're amazing. But you don't need to stand in the long line out front. Just head over to the small takeout area on the left. Walk right in, grab your pastries, and enjoy them with a coffee at the coffee shop next door. Do carry a bit of cash. Most places accept cards, but a few restaurants and cafes are cash only, and you might want it for tipping or buying things at a market or on the street. I always carry just a little bit of cash in case, and a good thing too, because I got caught once in a restaurant that didn't take cards, and when they brought the bill, I had to scramble to find enough cash to pay my fare. Do start conversations with bom dia, which is good morning, or hola, hi. It's a small thing, but it makes a difference. Jumping straight into a question or a conversation without a greeting can come across as rude. I learned this the hard way when I started asking some questions for directions and I didn't start with a bom dia, and the people looked at me as if I was just a rude tourist. I didn't want to come across that way, so I learned my lesson. Do wear good walking shoes. Lisbon is full of hills and stairs and slippery cobblestone streets. One day, my phone told me that I'd climbed the equivalent of 78 flights of stairs. So, a pair of comfortable, grippy shoes is a must. Don't be afraid to use Uber or Bolt. Public transport is great and there's lots of walking in the city. But after a long day of walking, particularly if you walk way out in one direction, it might be nice to catch a ride to get back. Bolt is very similar to Uber, but it's cheaper. And both are easy to use. And the advantage is you can see the price of your trip when you make the booking. Don't waste time waiting for the Santa Justa Lift. The Santa Justa Lift is a Lisbon landmark, but the ride itself is only 40 seconds long, and the wait can be up to an hour and you have to pay to get on. Instead, you can walk up. Seriously, it only takes 5 minutes. If you're facing the lift, climb up the steps along the left side of the lift, that's just right beside where all the crowds are lined up. And when you get to the street at the top, turn left, walk down the street to the first corner, turn right at the next corner, and then back up the hill a little bit. And at the top, you'll be at an open square by the convent. If you look over to your right, you'll see a little set of stairs that goes up past a restaurant. Follow them up, and you'll end up at a little walkway that takes you right over to the same terrace that you'd arrive at if you took the elevator, only you haven't spent a whole bunch of time and some money to get there. Do take a day trip to Sintra, but plan wisely. Sintra's packed with fairy tale palaces, castles, and gardens. Most people rush straight to the Penna Palace, which requires a timed entry, and it often has long lines for tickets. By the time I arrived at the Penna Palace, there was a huge lineup, and I would have had to buy a ticket and then wait for my assigned time to get in. So I elected not to do that. Instead, I went to the Moorish castle, and from the castle, you could look across the hills and get really nice views of the palace from there. I think if I was doing it again, I might plan to spend one night in Sintra. There are so many different places you want to see and lots of outdoor gardens to wander in. And I think if I had a little bit more time to explore the town, I would have really enjoyed that. So my suggestion is do think about spending a night in Sintra rather than just going for a day trip. Do explore local food, but avoid touristy traps. Walk a few blocks away from the main tourist areas to find authentic, reasonably priced Portuguese cuisine. My general rule is that if there's someone standing out in front of the restaurant with a menu trying to lure you in, you can probably find better, authentic local food elsewhere and at a better price. Do enjoy the local live music. Fado is an essential part of Lisbon's culture. I stumbled across a Fado event at the Tivoli Theatre and a classical guitars playing in the cathedral, both incredible experiences. And I saw them both at signboards that were outside of the venue. So keep your eye out for signs around town advertising local performances that you wouldn't know about otherwise. Do take in the city views. Lisbon has some incredible viewpoints, and they call them miradouros, scattered all around the city. Two must-see spots include the São Jorge Castle, which has stunning views over Lisbon, and the Rua Augusta Arch, which overlooks the Commerce Square. There's free admission to that with a Lisboa card. And when I went up there, I was on the top of the arch looking out over the city, and I was the only one. It was wonderful. Do research before you go. I spent time watching YouTube videos and reading travel blogs before my trip, and it really helped. I knew how to get around, what I wanted to see, and where I wanted to stay. A little planning goes a long way. So that's my list of Lisbon travel do's and don'ts. I hope it helps you make your trip smoother and more enjoyable. I spent 5 days in Lisbon and another 5 in the Algarve, which I'll likely cover in a separate video because it's quite different from the city and also a wonderful place to visit. If you found this helpful, give me a like and maybe consider subscribing for more senior solo travel tips and stories. Enjoy your trip to Portugal.